Hello, in this video I shall be analyzing a topic. The topic is need to regulate artificial intelligence. So there is a need to regulate to set up a system that regulates the increased use of artificial intelligence these days, which is called AI. So what does this artificial intelligence do? It is to assimilate the data. So using various online things, it is going to assimilate data and thereby it's going to give powerful solutions which are more powerful than the normal usual governments can come up with. So it is also going to be giving up solutions to the countries. So this is going to be a major stride, major thing in technology these days. And now we can know that it is both good and bad, giving to the fact that it is very powerful. So we shall see that how we can regulate this AI. Without regulation, this goes all messy. So we should regulate it. So how governments have regulated now and how India should come up with its own system of regulation of AI and all, we shall see now. Coming to the recent regulations, European Union, Brazil, Canada, Japan, China and UK have come up with these recent regulations which they enacted as laws in their own countries, and they are regulating artificial intelligence. There is a stark difference between the regulations of Western countries and Eastern countries. So in this list we can find that Japan and China are two Eastern countries and the rest are Western countries. So coming to the regulations, some analysis on it can show us that the Western countries are very superficial in their regulations, whereas the Eastern countries are taking a deep stand in their regulations. So they are taking it a serious thing. We shall see how it is going to be deep. Coming to the Western regulations, they are risk-based approach. They have taken this approach of risk-based. So if an app is possessing a lot of power and it is posing a threat to the society, in what range it is giving that threat. So it is a risk-based approach, and that is Eurocentric. It is also in a Eurocentric view, the regulations have come up, so which is fitting to their society for their public. So that is a Eurocentric view of Western approach, and there is also a lawmaking done to this end, which is Eurocentric jurisprudence we call it, that is lawmaking. Coming to the risks, they have categorized. There are unacceptable risks, high risks, limited risks and low risks. So these are called the pyramids of risks. So a pyramid of risks wherein an app, if it is doing very much high and powerful, so that has to be an unacceptable risk, and high risk, low risk and limited risk. We shall see how these risks are calculated. So this is based on artificial intelligence apps that these countries are using. So if it is a prohibited class, if it is of unacceptable risk, it is set under prohibited class. If it is of high risk, it is set under regulated class. If it is of limited risk, it is set under simple class. And low risk is by those apps which are only disclosure based apps which only disclose the information, that is of low risk. So this is how risks are calculated based on the artificial intelligence based apps in the Western countries. On the contrary, the Eastern countries have come up with principles-based approach. So they have set up some principles. For example, Japan government has adopted a model to regulate artificial intelligence in 2019. It's not a recent one. In March 2019. So it has set up social principles of human-centric artificial intelligence. This is developed by Integrated Innovation Strategy Promotion Council of Japanese government. So here it gave some provisions or basic principles of artificial intelligence that society is capable of it or not. Basic principles of AI capable society. We shall see these principles. One which I am speaking about, Japan, can also apply to all Eastern countries like China, Japan. So this is a principle-based approach. So these principles include human centricity of that artificial intelligence app or something, education or literacy that one must have while they're using it, and data protection, ensuring safety, fair competition, fairness or transparency, accountability and innovation. So all these principles have to be catered well while using an app, on both sides, one on the side of the artificial intelligence and one on the side of the user. So they must have these principles held up in using the apps. So the next example is our Chinese model. So in the Article 4 of this regulation of artificial intelligence apps, they have given this statement which clearly speaks about morality and ethics. So here we see principles, this word of principles in Japanese regulation, we see the word of morality and ethics in Chinese model. So this statement goes like this: the provision and use of generative artificial intelligence services shall abide by laws and administrative regulations, respect social morality and ethics. So this is the point that Chinese regulation included. And it also goes on with enlisting so many values. You can go and see the regulating articles of Chinese government. So it has enlisted some values, like Japan enlisted some principles. So basically we can see here a difference between the Western approach and Eastern approach, giving the examples of Japan and China on the Eastern side and the Western approach of risks. So here there is a conflict of means and ends. This is the major difference between the two sides. The Western side has majorly given greater stake to the means than to the ends. That means how well they can categorize the risk while they are making the regulations. That is the means, and the Eastern side is adopting the ends. So what ends it is serving. So to what end, to what extent there is data protection, to what extent there is fair competition, accountability. So these are end terms. So what is it achievement is what Eastern regulations are thinking about, and the Western is going to see mainly about means. So how can we categorize based on risk, based on the pyramid of risk, how to place them in a class under a category like regulated class, disclosure based class. So it is all going by the means, how to regulate and all. So this is a conflict between means and ends between the Western regulation side and Eastern regulation side. We are all going to make Indian system of regulations. So we are just analyzing about various regulations done in various parts of the world. Coming to the legal system, so this has a long history with the legal systems about the difference between the West and the Eastern legal systems. So Western legal systems as a whole, as we see holistically, they are rules abiding, and there are some prescriptions and punishments. If there is non-compliance with the rule, they will be punished. So this is a straightforward thing with the Western legal systems. So there we say that the rules of law are through postulation. Postulation is based on a theory or an idea. So they'll have just some rules. They must abide with the rules, or if not, they'll get a punishment. So that is just a theory or an idea. That is postulation. Coming to the Eastern legal systems, ours is a better open system compared to the Western system. We have morality of rules and morality under law. Under every law, we see the morality of that law. So here the rules of law are through intuition. That is our common sense, that the morality we have within us. So these are some basic differences between the legal systems. Coming to our Indian system, here we have ends and underlying moral code. Under every law, we see the end of the law, to what extent it serves a purpose, and we also see the moral code underlying that law here. And intuition is underlaid by morality. Our intuition and morality work together. For example, we can take the examples of our ancient history, things like Pandavas exiled to forest, and we have Emperor Ashoka's edicts also, which read about Dharma, which he calls as Dhamma, and we have all these things which show us our intuition and morality. So this is about Indian legal system. And we also have one other Western country, Eastern country, that is in lines with India. China has an emperor. His name was Woody. He was an emperor in 140 BC, and he punished his own sister for doing something wrong. He did not change the law because he wanted it to be morally binding, his country to be morally binding to the law. So this is some example of the Eastern countries, and this is some example of Indian system particularly. So with these two examples of stories, we see that law and morality are synonymous in the East. Coming to India, China, Japan, we see that here we have law and morals together, working together. And coming to the judiciary aspect of these regulations, there is a word called Hindu jurisprudence by a philosopher called Harold Freeman. He gave this word called Hindu jurisprudence exclusively for Indian type of thinking. Here he says that Hindu jurisprudence is nothing but the overlap of legality of rules and the morality of rules. So we overlap the legality and morality together. And recently with these regulations, there is a proposal that we have to come up with our own regulations of AI. So Niti Aayog took some references of these countries, EU, European Union, US, UK, Canada and Australia. So because of these references that Niti Aayog referred to, we can say we are going to come up with a Western model. But I don't think this is a good thing, because Indian regulations must hold up Indian ethos, not the Western model, not the Eastern model and anything. But finally, I would want to say that the regulations towards AI or anything should hold up Indian ethos. So this is some analysis about need to regulate artificial intelligence. And this is the analysis about it of various countries, Eastern and Western differences, and what Indian system should be like. That is to hold up Indian ethos. And this is the analysis. Thank you.